Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the March 24th, 2020 Henderson County Special Called Fiscal Court meeting. We're glad everyone is with us this morning, and for folks watching on Facebook Live and listening on WSON, we're glad you're with us. Thanks for bearing with us in these unusual circumstances. For the foreseeable future, we will make these meetings closed to the public, both to protect all of our citizens and to protect the officers of the court and members of Fiscal Court. So stay tuned for more news about that soon. But we will begin, as we always do, with an invocation. So if everybody could please rise. Dear Lord, we come to you in prayer today to ask on your blessing and your care for our community in these very, very difficult times. Please grant us wisdom and foresight as we make the decisions to try to help our community, our citizens, our families, friends, and neighbors. Please help us in the days ahead. Please help our leaders, both state and federal. Please help our first responders and all those who must work in these trying times, and for those families who won't be able to work and must decide how to best care for theirs. Say all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Southern.
Here.
Magistrate Moran.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate McCollum.
Here.
Magistrate Berry. Here.
And thank you to Magistrate Berry and Magistrate Moran for the slightly different batting order here, but trying to keep our social distance. Ladies and gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the March 10th, 2020 Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other clarifications, corrections, or additions? If not, all those in favor of accepting these signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We have with us Chris Winstead, who is Director of our ambulance service, Henderson City County Ambulance Service, to give us news about bids for a new ambulance.
As y'all know, we let bids for new ambulance. We come back with two bidders, Mid-America Ambulance and Coach Sales, and ARV Ambulance Sales. I think y'all have the information on these ahead of time. Those come back basically at a $10,781 difference. And we are recommending that we purchase the ambulance from Mid-America Ambulance, which was the low bidder, for a total of $153,939.
Budgeted item, right?
Budgeted item, under budget, yes.
We did have a meeting last week with Buzzy Newman and Linda White to further discuss the future of the ambulance service here, and things are going to remain the same as they currently are, and including the acquisition of new equipment, and this would fall under that. So anybody have questions of Chris?
Well, that was the only one I thought about. Is the city still good with it? So
As far as we know, yes. Chris, anything?
No, but this ambulance that we're looking at purchasing, it's already come off the line and is sitting in Campbellsville, so we can take delivery, waiting on Stryker as far as stretcher delivery, but so we're probably looking at 30 to 45 day delivery instead of 120 days,
right,
which is a good thing.
Any other questions of Chris? If not, I'll entertain a motion to move ahead with the purchase of the ambulance.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have in your packet a resolution extending the filing and payment deadline for taxes on net profits that are due on April 15th. As you know, the federal government has extended the filing deadline for federal income taxes from April 15th to July 15th. And we wanted to mirror that adjustment. It's obviously a chance to give people who are impacted by the coronavirus outbreak, their businesses and their accounting practices, to have a little bit more time. And we wanted to also do that, partly because our net profits taxes are based on federal filings. So in order to give everybody the best chance possible to file correctly, and also to give our net profits crew a chance to collect properly, we are proposing this slight waiver until July 15th, and also to take care of fiscal year filers as well. So does anybody have any questions about this?
I'd recommend we pass it, if you go ahead and read it.
Second.
Let's read it first, and then we will get a motion.
A resolution regarding the extension of the filing and payment deadline for taxes on net profits due April 15, 2020, and a waiver of interest and penalties if paid in full on or before July 15, 2020, and a 90-day extension for fiscal year filers, which are due May 15, 2020, or June 15, 2020, and waiver of interest and penalties if paid in full on or before the extended deadline. Whereas the President of the United States and the Governor of Kentucky have both declared a state of emergency in response to the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, whereas on March 21, 2020, and directly in response to the nationwide effects of COVID-19, the Internal Revenue Service announced tax relief for federal tax returns that are due by April 15, 2020, by automatically extending the filing deadline until July 15, 2020. And by deferring payments until July 15, 2020 without penalties and interest. And whereas the Henderson County Occupational Tax Administrator has recommended the implementation of a similar tax relief for local net profits taxes due and collected by his office under Section 220 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances. And whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court recognizes the local efforts of the COVID-19 pandemic, including the implementation of federal and state recommendations for social distancing, closing of schools and businesses, and self-quarantine requests, all in an effort to prevent the spread of this devastating virus. And whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court further recognizes the financial impact on local businesses, its employees, and the citizens resulting from both the federal and state recommendations, and more recently the necessary actions implemented by the executive order by Governor Beshear to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And whereas in an effort to prevent any additional stress and financial strain on the businesses and citizens of Henderson County during these difficult times, the Henderson County Fiscal Court believes it to be in the best interests of the county to automatically extend the deadline for which net profit taxes are to be filed and to be paid under Section 220 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances, and additionally to waive any interest or penalties for net profit tax balances filed and paid on or before the extended due date. And whereas the county judge executive, after consultation with the Henderson County treasurer, has advised the Henderson County Fiscal Court that the financial impact resultant from the proposed extension will not affect the county's ability to deliver the essential services relied upon by its citizens. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court, County of Henderson, Kentucky, as follows. 1. In order to combat the financial impact of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 in Henderson County, the deadline to file and to pay net profits taxes by an employer or a business entity under Section 220 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances is hereby automatically extended as follows. For tax year 2019 filing deadline of April 15, 2020, the filing deadline is extended to July 15, 2020. For fiscal year filing deadline of May 15, 2020, the filing deadline is extended to August 17, 2020. And for fiscal year filing deadline of June 15, 2020, the filing deadline is extended until September 15, 2020. No further action on behalf of any employer or business entity shall be required for this relief. Number 2, an employer or business entity who files the required tax documents and additionally pays the net profits tax due by the extended deadline set forth above shall not be liable for the penalties and/or interest in Section 220-31 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances. For any net profit return or report that remains unfiled, or for any remaining unpaid net profits tax balance, the penalties and/or interest set forth in Section 220-31 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances shall begin to accrue for the following day after the extended deadline set forth above. Number 3, the occupational tax administrator shall ensure the tax relief provisions set forth in this resolution are effectuated.
We have our occupational tax administrator, Brent Hepner, with us. A couple comments.
First of all, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Kyle Evans from the County Attorney's Office for drafting this resolution on behalf of the Tax Administration Office. Pretty straightforward in the reading. As you've heard Kurt read, it is applicable to the net profit filing alone. Any questions relevant to the resolution?
Make a motion to approve.
I second it.
Motion and a second. Again, to clarify, this is on the net profits reporting, not the occupational tax, but the payroll tax, but the net profits side.
Correct. And for the record, and for those watching at home, payroll, occupational tax side of it, filings remain the same for filings regardless of the amounts due. A zero filing is still necessary if business entities have ceased operations during this time.
And for those of you watching also, that the occupational tax filings to us are done by their employer, not by them by themselves. So you don't have to worry about it if you're an employee. Business will take care of it. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Brent. Treasurer Brenda Ryder.
Asking for a resolution to escrow, for an escrow account, and what this is doing is removing the bond debt of the jail series 2013 bond, escrowing this for principal and interest and associated cost, with the final payment due for this June 1st, 2023. What this does is actually remove this from the jail's financials of the county and sets it in a separate account. Approximate total for this is $1,175,000.
Again, this is part of defeasing that second jail bond. Necessary step we have to take to set up the escrow account. Any questions? And if you don't mind, I might have the clerk just read the summary of the resolution. I think everybody knows what this is about. And we're going to be moving money to get this escrow account set up.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read the summary.
Resolution of the Fiscal Court of the County of Henderson, Kentucky, authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement to provide for the cash defeasance of the outstanding County of Henderson, Kentucky general obligations refunding bonds detention facility project, Series 2013, authorizing and ratifying the purchase of certain government securities to provide the sufficient funds to defease said bonds, and the taking of any other necessary action to effectuate the purposes of this resolution thereof.
Again, any other questions of Treasurer Ryder? Again, compliments to Jailer Brady for having the foresight to do this, eliminate the second bond. That's terrific.
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to approve and thank the jailer for taking care of this. This helps our financial situation and strengthens our position, so I thank you for that.
So we have a motion
A second.
and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
See you again in a moment, Ms. Ryder. You have in your packets also a declaration from the Sheriff's Office designating some property as surplus. Sheriff Brady, anything you want to add to this?
No, Judge, it's an effort to kind of clear out some old stuff before the budget year. We may come back to you one more time before the budget year with a couple other items for surplus. Should be noted, some of this is going to emergency management. They felt like they could use the equipment. It'll save them and help us, and some of it's going to go to public auction.
Any questions of the sheriff?
Sheriff, on the vehicles, anybody in the county, can we use any of that, or are they all just pretty much junk? When I say, you know,
By the time we're finished with them, they're pretty much junk. We have kept a vehicle or two to take spare parts off of, including fenders and things like
Yeah.
that. If we did a fender, the only reason we would keep an older vehicle like that is just to try to salvage the parts off of it, and then it's not going to be worth anything at auction anyway. That would save the county quite a bit of money.
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
And I think the departments do a pretty good job with vehicles of letting everybody know that they're about to surplus one and do they have a need, and we do that.
We do some swapping around in county government, really. If somebody has a vehicle they can't use and another department can, we're always willing to swap them out.
But
Try to
I
make
guess
them last a
you
little bit
went
longer.
right to what I was going to ask, but is there any parts, fenders, bumpers, or anything you can take off?
Yeah.
Sound like a
Any
junk
other
man.
questions?
Sound
No,
like-
they were all high mileage, and except the one that was totaled, and, yeah, it's,
Yes.
Thank you. I'll have the clerk read the resolution, please.
A resolution declaring certain county property to be surplus and providing for the disposition thereof. Whereas the Henderson County Sheriff is in possession of property that is no longer of use to the Henderson County Sheriff's Office or by any other departments within Henderson County unless noted on Exhibit A. Whereas the Fiscal Court has reviewed the list of properties submitted by the sheriff, setting forth the item's description, original purpose, and the reason for disposition. Whereas pursuant to KRS 67.0802, the Fiscal Court finds that it is in the best interest of the county to deem the property as surplus and provide for the disposition thereof. As such, the Henderson County Fiscal Court wishes to offer said personal property to be sold by public auction or by selling for scrap or disposing of the garbage. And now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court, County of Henderson, Kentucky as follows. Pursuant to KRS 67.0802, the personal property of Henderson County Sheriff's Office listed on Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, is declared to be surplus. If Exhibit A designates the personal property to be offered for sale at an online auction, it shall be sold using a duly advertised online auction pursuant to all applicable laws at such time, and in such manner as shall be arranged by the county judge executive. If Exhibit A designates the personal property to be sold for scrap or disposed of as garbage, the Henderson County Sheriff shall make suitable arrangements for the disposition thereof and shall forward the proceeds, if any, to the Henderson County Treasurer to be transferred to the general fund pursuant to KRS 67.0802, Section 6.
Get a motion to approve that?
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Just to reiterate something we tried to take care of right at the end of the last fiscal court meeting, and our apologies to Beth for not clarifying that, and my compliments to Magistrate McCollum to make sure we did this properly. But we are have hired a part-time help person, a part-time assistant in the Financial Services Division, Shirley Pruitt, who's going to be working for us 24 hours a week, part-time. Again, that's no benefits, but she will be making $28 an hour. It is, in my judgment, a skilled position. She's going to be not only backstopping our occupational tax administrator, but also our finance officer and our treasurer, and she will also be enabling Kurt to have a little bit more time for some other duties I'm going to be assigning him. So just want to reiterate that we're going to be doing that and entertain a motion to approve that setting of the salary.
So move.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Shirley's happy to be here. She's got off to a fast start and doing well. So without any further questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Your animal control reports are in your packet. I know Debbie is not with us, but just make sure you note those. I don't think we have to actually take them into the record. But I do appreciate that they give us these reports regularly. Next, we have the Sheriff's Department reports, which are in your packet as well. Sheriff, anything you want to add to those? After a moment of review, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to accept.
second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Jailer Brady, anything to, is she with us? Okay. Anything to report from the jail?
Yes. Good morning.
Morning.
After speaking with Steve Gold, we spoke out front. Jailer Brady is requesting that there be a special meeting for the medical contract because we have not come to an agreement
Is there a date?
before April 1st.
So you want to advise us on a date after a few more,
She didn't
Bits
give
of
me a date. She
discussion.
just said before April 1st.
why don't we,
If you call it, we'll make it work.
why don't we huddle on a date, and then we'll get
Okay.
back with the court.
Okay,
And,
I'll find out with her what day that she would like, but I'm sure any would work. I think you had mentioned 2 days, just like 2 or 3 days to come together
Well,
on that.
it needs to be before the first. At this point, any legal stuff has been ironed out, but there's some operational things that the jailer has some concerns with Southern Health Partners still, and she wanted to make sure those got clarified. And I think she also wanted to do some further negotiation potentially on the dollars and cents side. So I think at some point last night, negotiations got a little tense between the jailer and Southern Health Partners, and I think they're going to continue to
Yeah.
do that. She's doing everything she can do to make sure that there is good and solid medical care for the inmates at the detention center, and it's done in a way that is financially best for the county. So
Yeah.
she's
Been working
she's being
many,
pretty
many
tough
hours
on
on it. She has, yeah.
Why don't you just let her know that as soon as she gives me, if she has a feel for how quickly we can do it, we can set it up.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate what all she's doing on that, and I know she had some problems with some of the medications that wasn't being tracked correctly, and.
Right, yeah.
And I appreciate her working those things out with.
Okay.
Southern Health.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't believe it. Renise Abner's with us, but her report,
She said, Ms. Abner said she may not make it up this morning because she was on a conference call, but she had submitted her report and her check in today.
as you can see her report in your packet.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion on a second on Henderson County clerk payments. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Mr. Gold, your report.
Judge, I've got several checks today. The first is a check for dental and life insurance, $395. Health insurance, $5,841. Aflac, $124.94. And a flow-through for a supplement to an assistant county attorney's salary, $458.33, bringing today's total to $6,819.27, and bringing the fiscal year total to date to $119,748.60.
Make a motion to accept.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And call Treasurer Ryder back up.
This is the second reading of a budget amendment. This is amending into the budget unbudgeted, unanticipated receipts with corresponding expenses. Total amount of the budget amendment is $1,360,800. The breakdown: revenue, jail fund prior year carryover in the amount of $1,175,000. The corresponding expense in the same amount is jail fund debt service. The next is revenue from the general fund insurance proceeds, property and casualty in the amount of $10,800. The corresponding expenses are general fund, sheriff uniform allowance, $4,000, general fund, sheriff office supplies, $2,000, general fund, sheriff conference trainings, $4,800. The last revenue road fund from FEMA in the amount of $175,000. The corresponding expenses, road fund material, road fund maintenance and repairs and equipment, $150,000. Road fund culverts pipe, $25,000. Again, the total amount of this budget amendment is $1,360,800.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Again, this primarily in the budget to take in some unexpected revenue and to finish off the process of moving the money to help pay off this jail bond, or to pay off the jail bond, which
Yes,
is
sir.
good news. So that was our second reading. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And next?
We have budget transfers. These transfers are as presented, and this is reallocating appropriations within the existing fiscal year's budget.
Give a moment to look over those.
Move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. And now to claims.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
These are the bank balances after paying claims today. The day-to-day appropriation line should be at approximately 75%. I have two additional claims from the general fund to the Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $210. This is for the Fiscal Court's annual membership. Another claim to Evansville MPO, which is Metropolitan Planning Organization. This is for Henderson County Share for fiscal year 20 in the amount of $5,858. Both of these are to come from the Fiscal Court advertising appropriation lines.
I'll make a note that the general fund revenues right now are at 93%, which is good. The general fund total expenses are at 58%. Again, she said that on budget right now would be 75%. The overall budget expenditures are at 60%, so you're doing well, holding the line. Revenues are as we expect, and that's good to know because a lot of trepidation about the future and making sure we can deliver the necessary services. So I appreciate all the department heads and elected officials staying very close to budget, if not bettering it, and working with us to make sure we get through this fiscal year healthy and into the next one healthy. So any other questions about claims? Or so we have a motion and a second, correct?
I move we accept.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. We won't be able to do good of the county for this special call meeting, but I will give each of the magistrates a chance to offer any thoughts. And again, to kind of change up the batting order again, I'll start with Magistrate McCollum.
Thank you. All's well in the fifth. I appreciate what everybody's doing and trying to stay safe and not spread the virus.
Master Berry.
Yeah, I think everything's good in first except the virus. And I think if we just be observative and try to stay home best we can, just take care of our pertinent business, I think this thing will take a downturn hopefully soon. Thank you.
Mr. Gold.
Judge, I'd just say as somebody in this building working with all the different departments of county government, it's been really impressive to me how our local county government has come together to work to continue to provide services to the public, even without them being able to come in. Our office was creative in trying to come up with some ways to do that. The clerk's office has got a drop box, and they're continuing to do things. So, we're trying to do all those things that keep things running. I know Jailer Brady has spent countless hours trying to make sure that the jail is secure from the virus, in addition to all the other things she's been doing. And I know the jailer, or the sheriff, has had challenges as well with all of this. And all the county agencies have gotten together. They've been working well with our office and contacting our office to get guidance on how to do that legally going forward. I appreciate all the work that Kenny Garrett has been doing to keep us all rowing in the same direction there. And to me, seeing the way Henderson County government has kind of come together and found ways to keep serving the public, that's something that I'm proud to be part of and proud to be your county attorney.
Master Putman.
Thank you, Judge. I agree with a lot of what Steve says. Just to compliment you and Steve, Kenny, and just for the videos that you're doing live on Facebook and stuff. I think there are a lot of viewing. It's very informative, and I think that's the ball of the key. We got to keep pressing on how to keep people in the loop to know what's going on. I mean, you think you're almost watching a TV show when you kind of go outside and you look around and you just see all this emptiness. It's like a sci-fi film, but unfortunately it is reality. And I think we're doing fine here in Henderson County. I think people are staying close. I know I am, but I know what you guys have to do down here, and all the elected officials out doing what they can to make sure that the public is kept safe and informed, and the services they need we're still providing. So hats off to everybody. You, Judge. I love that video, by the way. I didn't know. I know you couldn't get to a lot of the questions as it was scrolling up, but again, we that's what we are there for, is questions. And I know there's still some confusion about who's closing, who's opening, and if they really read the things that's posted from the governor's office, that they can actually get a pretty defined line on whether you should be opened or closed or staying in. So. But other than that, I assume everything is good in the 4th. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Magistrate Moran.
I just wanted to say I agree with what all the other gentlemen have said. It's a difficult time, and I really appreciate all those that are on the front line that are trying to help us and keep us safe. And it's so important. And I encourage everybody to have a positive attitude and try to get out and in the yard at least, and maybe pull away something that will look at the beauty outside and see if you can have a positive attitude through all this. All is well in the 2nd District.
Thank you. I agree. Magistrate Southern.
Again, just with the virus, I think Henderson's doing what we need to be doing. Seeing the stores empty out, not a lot of people congregating together, things that need to be done. I'd like to send out a thank you to our governor. I think he's done a great job. He's stepped up and made Kentucky proud. And the river's up again, so if you're out in the country,
at least that's normal.
Yeah.
I understand that. That is not a problem. We can figure that out.
If you're out in the country, don't drive through it. Turn around. And other than the river, all's good in District 3. Thank you.
And it truly is good in the districts. As unusual a situation as this has been and will continue to be, I'd like to hang on to those things that are still pretty normal about Henderson County. You still have the Henderson County government working for you, trying to provide the services that we normally provide. There are many parts of our life right now that can be done normally. Even with a little tweak, they will be normal. Taking care of things like, car registrations and visiting with the county attorney's office if you have a question. There's still ways to be normal, and I want to focus on those things. There's plenty of time to worry about the next message down from Washington or the next bit of news on CNN, or the next bit of information coming from the governor. And we want to take all those governmental edicts seriously. We want to be safe, but I also want to focus and emphasize to people that those things that are normal about your life, hang on to those, make those worthwhile. This time at home has actually been a time to, in my case, to get to know my wife again. Sometimes we just kind of wave at each other during the course of a day as we're going to our jobs, but hanging out on the weekend has actually been quite nice. And so there are ways to find a positive out of all this, and I'm going to focus on those. And I know all of us here at county government are focusing on trying to keep things as normal as they can be for our citizens and safe as they can be as well. I do want to reiterate the thanks for Kenny Garrett, who's done yeoman's work in the emergency management office. He has been working the longest hours of anybody in county government lately, I think, besides probably the jail staff. And I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, his website, Henderson EMA, Henderson County Emergency Management, you just Google that or get on the Facebook page. He's got a lot of great information about COVID-19 information that impacts Henderson County directly. You can also reference the county's website, where we're keeping a lot of links up live. Our Facebook page, which I hope many of you have been turning into. If you're looking this now, you're obviously on our Henderson County Facebook page. We've done a lot of Facebook Live videos, as Magistrate Putman has mentioned. We think those have been well received. We'll try to do those when we think it's relevant. There's new information that needs explanation. But I really want to emphasize that as you're out there getting information about this epidemic, to get it from credible sources, get it from government sources, healthcare sources. Sometimes rumors can really drive us nuts when they don't need to. I've heard a bunch of doozies just in the last 48 hours. So I want to say that focus on what the governor is saying in his daily press conferences. Check in with our office. If you go to our website, hendersonky.us, that's the county website, there are phone numbers or links to each of our departments. And if you have a question about anything the departments are doing, just call them. They are manning the phones during the day, and they'll be happy to talk to you and give you the latest information from their perspective, or you can call my office, and we'll tell you what you know. And a lot of people have been contacting me through social media, and I'll just absolutely tell you what I know at that moment to be true. So let's hang in there. We're going to continue to meet regularly as fiscal court, although we may not allow the public. Again, we'll give you more information as we get close to our next fiscal court meeting. Until then, stay safe. And I'd like Brent Jacobs to keep this rolling even after we adjourn. I have one more statement after we adjourn. So with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. But I want to take this moment to say that I'm going to go ahead and declare a state of emergency for the county. And I want to explain why I'm doing this now. I'm not doing this because I think the situation with the coronavirus is any worse today than it was yesterday, or will be any worse tomorrow than it was today. There's nothing new coming down the pike that I'm concerned about. I merely think it's time for us to make sure that the fiscal court has the maximum flexibility to meet if there are any new directives coming down from Frankfurt or Washington, D.C. that we have to deal with quickly. Declaring a state of emergency will allow us to do that without following the normal notification requirements for a special meeting. It just means when we want to talk about emergency situations or issues, we can immediately call together and meet. Does that make sense? And it could down the line, if we have to purchase a large amount of emergency gear for some reason that's not otherwise available, and it costs more than the $30,000 threshold we have for bidding out an item, then we can go ahead and buy that gear. But so far, even though we've just going to declare a state of emergency today, we haven't missed out on any government aid, any supplies. None of that has not been available to us, even though we've not declared a local state of emergency. So please rest assured that all the government assistance that we've been eligible for up to date, we've gotten and will continue to get. So, yes.
This does not mean that we won't notify the WSON and the Gleaner at any meetings we get. We will.
That's right, we will.
Okay.
We just won't have the some of the 24-hour or 10-day requirements sometimes to notify of a meeting, notify public of a meeting. So, but we will make it public when we're gathering together to talk about anything involving the emergencies.
Also put it on live so people can see it too.
Yes, yes, good point. So that is all I've got. Brent, you can end our video. Thank you for tuning in. Again, stay tuned to social media or call the office if you had any more questions. We will all see you soon.